Why did you join a cult? It all started when I turned down an internship at my uncle's company. You need to stop being so picky about opportunities, my mom said while I was trying to finish homework. I explained that the internship was unpaid and her brother's company was under investigation for fraud. You're always finding excuses instead of seeing possibilities, she said. She kept listing every opportunity I'd turned down in the past year, including the pyramid scheme my neighbor tried to recruit me for and that creepy photographer at the mall who wanted to make me a model. Your generation thinks everything should be perfect right away, she said. What if you tried just saying yes to everything? For the next week, she followed me around reading quotes about seizing opportunities and called my guidance counselor to complain that I was too selective. Fine. From now on, I'll say yes to every single opportunity that comes my way, I finally said, after she woke me up at 6 in the morning to discuss my lack of ambition. She actually hugged me and said this was the first mature decision I'd made in years. Monday started with a guy at the mall approaching me about joining his financial freedom program for $500 up front. Yes, I'm very interested, I said, while giving him mom's credit card, enjoying how her face went pale when she saw the charge. By Tuesday morning, he'd used that information to sign her up for 17 different recurring charges, and her book club friends found out when he started calling them using her contact list I'd provided. She had to explain why a 20-year-old was pitching them colon cleanses using her as a reference, and I watched her humiliation with cold satisfaction. Wednesday, our neighbor asked if I wanted to help with his illegal exotic animal rescue. Absolutely, I said, volunteering her as an emergency foster home just to see her come home to pythons in her bathtub and a capuchin monkey destroying her grandmother's china. Thursday's opportunity was my friend's brother wanting to throw a music festival in our backyard, and by Friday, she had 400 calls about Karen's Kool-Aid acid test, plus a visit from the police. Each disaster made me feel powerful for once, watching her deal with the consequences of her own advice. Saturday morning, she was begging me to stop when the substitute teacher arrived to discuss her brother Phoenix's transformational leadership program in Oregon. I agreed to visit immediately, and she spent the 2-hour drive crying while I felt nothing but grim satisfaction. Phoenix met us at the gate wearing all white, but something shifted when he looked at me, really looked at me, and said I had exceptional energy he'd rarely seen in someone so young. Your son has been dimming his light to make others comfortable, Phoenix told my mom while maintaining eye contact with me, and suddenly my throat felt tight because no one had ever suggested I was anything but a disappointment. He showed us photos of people working in gardens and explained how they'd found purpose through surrendering their need for external validation. Jackson has spent his whole life trying to meet impossible standards set by people who don't understand his true nature, he said, and my mom protested, but I was frozen because how did he know that exact feeling? When he explained the 6-month isolation period, I started to tell my mom this was what she'd asked for, but Phoenix put his hand on my shoulder and said something that made me forget my spite entirely. You don't have to perform for anyone here, Jackson, because we already see your worth without you having to prove anything. My eyes burned because I couldn't remember anyone ever saying I was enough just as I was, and suddenly, the compound